A warm welcome to all of our friends, fans, community members, participants, squad mates and viewers worldwide on various platforms. Thank you for coming, thank you for watching my podcast, and thank you for being so very valued members of our community. Another weekend gone, the last weekend of March of 2021. The weekend where in fact we had completed full 12 months of this dreadful lockdown. We remember with sadness all the months that have gone by. Indeed, we also remember all the lives that had passed away since the March of 2020, and it's been a very, very somber year, very, very difficult for all of us to be spending so much time indoors, being quarantined, being grounded, not being able to do other things which we usually do, enjoy our restaurants, favorite haunts, parks, swimming pools, cinemas, you name it. And we all kind of swang to the other activity, which was everything we could do indoors, and one of the very best was indeed doing gaming online, because gaming online provided us with this wonderful opportunity through which we connected with our friends worldwide, we connected with many people who are sharing the same interests, and we built our communities. So this week is going to be dedicated to that, really, overall, and we'll be looking at all aspects to which we were helping our communities and the way for which I personally had fought against COVID and the rise of the pandemic in our local area here in North London suburbs, as well as in Britain, and of course the pandemic worldwide. Wonderful weekend here in our local area. We've had several beautiful spring sunshine, fantastic weather days, and I thoroughly enjoyed going outside during the day, which has been quite a challenge compared to the last 6 months since mid-October, where I was literally just going out at night, where there was no one out there in sight. And This was all in sync with the time change. Obviously, we pushed our clocks forward. We are having a longer day as it stands today, and therefore it is a lot more enjoyable to go out earlier rather than later. And also being blessed with such hot weather, we've had some of the hottest temperatures that England's ever seen, or I should say since we began to record the temperatures. And many people are milling around and enjoying that sunshine. I mean, you can't blame children and teenagers for being full of energy and being vibrant, because everyone's been locked up really for so long. And fortunately in our country we also had vaccinated many people, so almost 50% of our adult population had received the vaccine, and that's really truly wonderful. So evidently our population is going to be strengthened with the vaccine. That doesn't mean that you're completely immune to the virus, or indeed that you will not be able to carry it, but as far as the bad, lethal, dreadful, deadly COVID is concerned, it certainly will help us greatly. So I went to my favorite restaurant where I usually eat every day. I've had a takeaway from there, which is what I had not had for 13 months. Can you imagine? Last time I had my meal in there was in February of 2020. I ate it in a park. It was a wonderful meal prepared with care, tender love and care, by the chef who really knows me very well. I'm one of their favorite customers. Obviously, I come every day. I got to be, right? And I'm joking. And had a very leisurely sort of day. Also, in addition to that, I'm enjoying my pre-Easter break, and you will recall that I have seasonal breaks always, and they usually happen every 3 months or so, because my streams are very dense and packed with activity. I have lots of different things on offer. On one hand, there are periods where I provide a variety of different games for people to entertain. At other times, we are just literally dedicated to one or two, the big ones like Warzone, Apex, and most importantly Destiny. And the return of Destiny and Warzone is more or less now imminent, as I will resume my broadcast very shortly. We are going to have another big game added to our AAA blockbuster roster on the 1st of April. Well, the prize-winning question for all of you at the moment is, what is the game? And if you watch my podcast, if you watch my DRBMiller introducing, you will be more than crystal clear in your mind on the title. The title, of course, is Outriders, and Outriders is going to be accessible on the 1st of April through Xbox Game Pass. To us all of our subscribers, we can crack on and preload and do the game from the day one, and that is going to be a wonderful experience. I can't wait for that 1st of April to roll, and only a few days away, and I'll preload it. I'll make sure that everything is properly imported, my saves and all of my skins and achievements and everything else I got through my 2 lots of demo gameplay on PlayStation and indeed Xbox, and then we'll crack on. What we'll do is, it's going to be an experiment. So I'm into my 3rd year of broadcasting on Twitch, and that's everyday broadcasting. So we're talking about very many separate shows, and I think if I'm presently just uploading some of the recent streams to my YouTube. So once I've got everything uploaded, I'll tell you exactly the number of streams that I did upload, and this number is very high, and so I'm very pleased with my content creation, and most importantly, I'm very delighted with my own DRBMiller Gaming Dialogue community. The communities are built here that are attached to certain games. 3 central games that attracted the greatest number of participants have been Destiny 1 and 2, of course, the Destiny Saga, Apex and Warzone. So they have really the greatest number of participants here on my channel. They brought in the community members, and we had subgroups to which some people migrated to other games, like Sekapu, who played all 4 games together with me. Other people were a bit frosty on that sort of migration, and therefore they just did stick to their own favorite title. So we'll spend a bit of time later in the week discussing all these things. I have a question from a community member in regards to the way we build our community, so we'll look at that in depth very shortly. And so, like I said, we are going to be having 3 major titles back here on the channel, up and running, and these titles are going to be Destiny Saga, that's 1 and 2 combined. We'll have Apex, and most importantly Warzone. Warzone has been a very big success here on the channel of late. We've had regular daily streams since I think beginning of October, and our community had been just literally thriving with new members. I've looked it up yesterday and realized that our regiment had grown to almost 40 members. So that's fantastic. You know, like 40 regulars, and these people have been carefully selected from a very, very wide range of resources. They included people who we personally knew from other communities, as well as those who played with us randomly selected through Activision, and that's terrific to see. And I just want to stress that we have two different sections of Warzone. One is our Warzone regular daily stream, and that is one entity that's dedicated to Twitch and all that we do here in order to attract new members and build our communities of gamers online. This live online stream has its specific rules, and we had to be tailoring the rules because I don't know whether you know, but Twitch had altered some of the terms and conditions of late, and I've spent the last 2 or 3 weeks analyzing and looking through very lengthy lists of things which have been amended, one of which is to do with copyright. And every streamer will tell you that they're getting now a very big pop-up on their video archive, which is usually the archive of the last 3 months of your streams, and it tells you it's like a very, very big window indicating how many copyright strikes you've had and what you must not be doing. I've got to say, I can't be careful enough, because I did have, specifically in my Warzone stream, several members playing music on their mobile phones as we were discussing different tracks. One of our friends, one of our community members, Warzone veteran, James Spanner, is also a DJ, and he talked frequently about various tracks that he liked, and then other participants, obviously unbeknownst to myself and him, would just look for the track on the mobile phone and they would play it live on air, and that's strictly forbidden. It's something I will have to immediately cut short if indeed that was to be the case. Tragically, if I do get people doing this, I may get a community strike, a copyright strike, and my channel may be suspended or banned, and it's automated. There's absolutely nothing I can do about it. So I really need to warn all of my community members and all participants never ever to play any music if you are live online together with us. It's just strictly forbidden, and you can cause me a huge amount of problems which I cannot resolve, and I have the ultimate responsibility, to which I'll have to be making sure that no material which is copyrighted is ever played on my stream unless it belongs to a game, the game that we're streaming. So for instance, you will know that if we are driving vehicles in Warzone, we get various tunes and we can select them, we get them as achievements, so we carry on through our battle pass, and the number of titles is expanding. These songs are fine because they're copyrighted, they're part and parcel of the game. If you had to play the same song on your mobile, the algorithm will pick it up as something which is separate from the actual game, and therefore I will be suffering. So that's just one in a line of many. The other is the rules on family-friendly channels and the way people can be participating. I've got to say, I was very unpleasantly surprised to discover that in view of the recent events in America, with the attempted coup and the rioting and all that they've had near their Capitol building, they had introduced some very detailed, very specific rules on how you can be talking about politics. So that was very strange, because generally on my channel politics are a non-starter, they're prohibited, but the rules in there tell you specifically how you can be talking about certain issues like ethnicity, religion and immigration. They're the ways to which you can be seen as acceptable, and there are the ways to which you will be banned. So it's very difficult, because people listening to such programs will get their own interpretations of what is said, and frequently, let's say somebody just joins in half hour into a broadcast, they're not sure what the stream of thought is, what's been debated. I'm talking about just chatting channels, not about my channel. And then somebody keeps describing certain situations, and he talks about somebody else, he doesn't talk about himself. The listener will assume that this person is describing his own experience, and they will report them. And then if that's being looked at, then there will be a problem for the streamer. And it's becoming a bit, how do I put it, hard to breathe. And you will see that in our Warzone streams we've had quite a close group of regular participants, and we actually never met in real life. We do not know each other, but through our streams and our online communication. But we had become such a strongly bonded squad that we talked about everything. That included our private lives, our work, everything that's been happening in our local environment. That included the pandemic, losses of jobs, furlough, the current status, and all this. And that's all part and parcel of our joint bonding of our community and all we did here live online. I need to stress that my channel also is providing these services in order to support people who are suffering from COVID symptoms. We did have several people online who actually were playing the game together with us and were suffering from COVID, right? And I had other members who were, with relatives who suffered from COVID. We've had some people who sadly lost their loved ones. And the channel was providing the means to which people can connect, communicate, and receive unconditional support from us as community members, and that's been operating really, really well. So having those rules introduced like that is a bit draconian, and I will have to enforce them, of course. And I'm sure that my friends, people who are in our Warzone community will find some of the rules very unsavory. Like, I will have to tell specific members not to be talking about their wives, girlfriends, and family, and some of the things which were previously mentioned, just to make sure that we are complying with what's obviously come my way, and I need to be doing it by the book. So that's really what I've been doing during this weekend, because new season will start on 1st of April, and I need to be absolutely squared away. So for all of you who are listening, and obviously all of you who are dedicated members, there will be no changes in terms of how I'm running the channel. It's all going to be family friendly and all this. But on my Discord, I will have a section there which specifies the rules for a particular regular stream, and this will apply exclusively to people who are regulars. So people who are being brought in order to play together with us live online, as well as communicate with others. It doesn't apply to the randoms. The randoms are in a different category, and they can be immediately muted, blocked, and the game, we can be departing from a game if, for instance, somebody is doing something that is considered to be unsavory. Twitch will have obviously a reasonable understanding towards that, because we are dealing with a global forum. The concern is about the regulars, because the regulars are on the same footing as the content creators, basically like the channel owner. The channel owner does have the overall responsibility, and the content creators, the participants, also seen as contributors to the content creation on that particular channel. So quite a bit of a headache, and I think the difficulties there are just like what I said when I attended the industry forum at the European headquarters of Twitch in London. They said we have very many participants, we have very many viewers, we've grown exponentially. We do not have human resources to be double checking every single entry, so we use algorithms. Algorithms are fairly advanced, and in instances where somebody is being reported 20-30 times at the same moment by various participants, we'll have one person looking up at what is flagged, but otherwise it all is going to be automated. And having a considerable experience previously with YouTube, I can tell you that is no fun. If you get a copyright strike, there's absolutely no way through which you can bring that channel back unless you go through the legal channels and through federal courts in the US, and you will have to be paying a lot of money for that. The US legal system is extremely expensive, and intercontinental legal mediation costs a lot of dollar, and it's just best avoided. I had some problems on my Film Dialogue channel because there were people who were unsavory and malicious, and they were reporting the content that was in the public arena, the public domain content as it's known, to be copyrighted, when in fact they just videoed the content that was being played on the TV, and in any case it is in the public sphere. There was absolutely no way to which I can contest that but by going through the US courts. So obviously I have a considerable experience of that, which did cause me a headache. My channel had more than, I think, 2 million views. It was the most popular, the most important channel dedicated to the history of silent cinema, with the best collection of videos which are freely accessible on YouTube, right? It's all collected from YouTube, from public circulation, whatever is out there. None of the materials were copyrighted anywhere, and really very, very greatly take care to make sure that all the material is indeed in the public domain. And it suffered because of the algorithms, because some sort of malignant individual out there who wanted to make sure that a channel that is indeed very popular and catering for you know, education and charitable works, and all that is there for people to learn, to provide them with material through which they can learn all about history of silent cinema. They wanted that ruined. They launched 4 copyright strikes in less than 1 minute, and you know, once they tracked them down, they didn't have a verifiable email address, they didn't have a geographic location, they didn't have anything basically. It was just a hoax. You know, just wanted to make sure that the popular channel was being attacked, and it's still in mediation. And I think it's been more than 2 years since I launched a complaint, and it will still carry on for a while until it's fully resolved. It will be resolved because obviously I haven't done anything wrong. The channel is up there. It's just being what do you call it? Well, it's not accessible to the public, but all the materials are still there, and you know, I contested it from the minute one. But anyway, coming back to Twitch, the same problems are likely to be plaguing our Twitch community. The new one that will be even more apparent is presently discussed in various American departments of government, and they really want to create a new system of copyright laws for the European Union and for the countries which are not, well, for the streamers who are not based in the United States. And that's really potentially going to be causing a lot of issues. And there is a system through which they want to monetize that, and they want to restrict on what types of news are being distributed, under what auspices. So it's an ongoing waffle. They are still discussing it, but it will have implications. Anyway, cut long story short, I spent my weekend looking into this and learning about these new terms and conditions. All of our community members will be fully informed, both here live online. I'll tell you about it. You'll have an article published on my blog, which is the Gaming Dialogue blog, as well as on our Discord. So if you're interested, you can just click on the link. I'll put it on Twitter, pin it to the very top. You'll be able to see it straight away. Bear with me a second. But I gotta say, it pains me to see all these things which are hampering our effort. You know, streaming and working on Twitch is a very, very difficult, very arduous, very time-consuming activity. It requires a lot of attention, a lot of care, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of effort from everyone involved. I think you know, if you watch this 30-second YouTube video saying, "Hey, I'm a streamer, I made like 1 million followers in 3 months," make sure you immediately bin that video. It's just utter nonsense. It's multi-level marketing, and you know, it's just absolutely devoid of reality. It's, you know, it's got no elements of anything which is real. It takes a long time for everyone to build the communities, and having somebody who wants to say malignantly, maliciously, and you will get that sometimes from disgruntled community members. You know, I have heard of situations where certain communities turn against somebody who was causing problem, and then that person was trying to retaliate in ways which were, you know, definitely not the gentlemanly ones, and there were problems. We don't want to see any of that here on the channel, full stop. And therefore the rules are there to be respected, and we'll just do everything by the book. However restrictive it may appear to be, I've got to follow the rules. You know, I mean, I'd love to be streaming Spotify. I'd love to be doing like a small DJ set before my streams. I can't do that. I mean, I can do it probably through Razer, you know, the DJ engine, the one I was introducing recently, presently accessible on Xbox and PlayStation, but it's a limited number of tracks. It's, you know, that much you can do, and I mean, it's still good fun, but it's not the same thing. It's not like having karaoke or doing randoms directly through your Twitch channel, and that's basically what we cannot be doing. Right, so that was part of my weekend, and then let's look on the bright side as well, and let's consider what we also did in addition to the terms and conditions, and that was what we love doing the best, gaming, right? So the weekend was busy, and I've had few streams of my games live online, but I spent quite a bit of time looking at the recent additions to the Xbox Game Pass. You will know that the Ultimate subscription gives you unconditional access, and Game Pass is the best streaming platform on the planet. To apologize, I had to sneeze and didn't want to have that live on air. As I said, Xbox Game Pass provides us with a multitude of titles, and it is continuously expanding and growing. So I did download quite a few during the last week. You know that Bethesda 20 had joined Game Pass, and I've downloaded the ones which were of interest. So I did have a look at Dishonored Definitive Edition, and quite honestly, you know, the game is as good as always, but just made much better. The audio visuals are massively enhanced. We have beautiful, beautiful razor sharp graphics, increased frame rate, everything is there. So most highly recommended to everyone. It feels like you're playing almost like a remake, you know, like a new game, and thoroughly enjoyable, plenty to do, and you know, like a proper Bethesda title. Then I had a look at Undertale. In fact, I played it last night for the first time, and this game is just like they described it. It's very compulsive. Indie developers game, and a weird sort of platformer strike RPG with a lot of activity and fighting sequences and a good story, in fact, and some puzzles and mysteries. Once you get in, you have these arcade style graphics that remind you of 1990s PC platformers, and once you get in, you're hooked, you know, with the activity, with the story, with your main character, with the puzzles, and you can't depart. It is so captivating. So really, really a great game, and it does have some hurdles where you meet frogs and some monsters, and you need to decide whether to talk to them, to fight them, to flirt with them, or scare them, or do something else. You know, like different options there, and it's fairly variable from character to character, and you will have to be finding the best option in order to get some XPs as well as to, you know, carry forward. So very interesting, and definitely most highly recommended to everyone. The game's not been available on consoles until a couple of weeks ago, and there's been a lot of talk about the game on Xbox podcast as well as various other platforms. So most highly recommended, and I loved it. Then I looked at Killing Queen Black, again another platformer that has many hurdles that will have to be resolved, beautiful graphics, and fairly competitive. It's all about doing certain tasks, collecting scores, and progressing up the ladder. Highly recommended, very enjoyable. Then for the first time I looked at Football Manager. So it's the second sports game ever in 30 years that I actually would have played live online. You will know from my podcasts and my presentations here, I'm definitely not a sports fan in video games. I never played any of these, although I've been asked many times to do so. I just completely avoided it. I believe, a bit like Jeff Rubenstein from Xbox, the real life sports are to be played out there or to be enjoyed, football terraces and elsewhere. But Football Manager is a strategy game. You need to be building a team as a manager. So I looked at it and built my character, and he looks sort of similar to me. His appearance is, I guess, uncanny, and also wears a suit and a tie just like myself. I've equipped him in exactly the same suit I wear. And also I declared that I will be Tottenham manager. So funny enough, the game did have a recent update, I should say, and I'm replacing Jose Mourinho, who is at the moment under huge threat due to his very, very poor performance, or I should say the poor performance of his team in the UEFA Cup. What's it called? It's the UEFA Cup, isn't it? And also various problems here in the Premiership. So it looks like I'm gonna be rocking, but there wasn't enough time to start up properly with my new massive venture. And similar to other strategy games that I'm looking at the moment, I'll be doing it step by step. I'll allow maybe 60 to 90 minutes per day from time to time in order to ascend, and then I have to need to first of all become a bit more familiar with in-game mechanics, because it does have a lot of planning and investments and all else, and that's exactly what we are going to be doing. So I need to really learn how to play that game before I stream it. It is one of those games because you need to have that knowledge. It's not just learning as you go along. And then I've looked at Bless Unleashed, and Bless Unleashed has been on my console already for a year, celebrating its first year anniversary. And you will be familiar with the story that is very similar to Elder Scrolls, and with plenty of lovable characters and lots of activities. In fact, quite similar to Elder Scrolls Online, I should say. But I liked the dialogue, I liked the characters, the graphics are second to none, and overall activity seemed very hectic. And I don't know why the game's not taken off in big fashion. Maybe many people consider it to be too similar to Elder Scrolls, but I loved it, and I definitely will be collecting some of my first anniversary loot. And I looked at it yesterday and I felt a bit lost, and the reason for that is very simple. I played Blessed Unleashed around its release date. We had quite a few streams here on the channel, and I just forgot all about it ever since. So I need to become a bit more familiar, and then we'll crack on. We'll do some streams here as well. We'll go back to us helping the developer and helping Xbox in promoting it, because I think it is one of these games that is truly delightful with a lot of activity, and I think it's superior to Black Desert Online, if you want my opinion, from what I experienced so far. And it does have a very good story and many side quests. They'll keep, they will blend in really, really superbly. Plenty of entertainment. It's an ideal game for a community build-up or multiplayer. You'll always have somebody else to bring in and have a lot of fun. So definitely a big yes. And then I've looked at Prey. Prey has been also reworked, remastered, and given some extra frame rates. I think it's gone up from 60 to 120. Looks absolutely razor sharp. I played it previously on PlayStation Now services, and I think I also tried it on Game Pass in the past. Was it last year? I'm quite certain it was on Game Pass as well, but he never ever looked as good. Honestly, he's just really, really polished up and similar to what we've seen in Gears 5 Remastered, or and particularly with The Last of Us. It just feels like a different game. It's like really massively enhanced, beautiful graphics, and a really high quality open world experience. And that really is what you really want to have. So most highly recommended, and absolutely definitely the very best game for everyone to enjoy. It's also quite scary. If you liked Black, or if you liked Crisis, I think Prey will be your kind of adventure. Again, it is a Bethesda game, so have a mixture of strong story driven content with lots of fighting sequences, plenty of action, and wonderful, wonderful graphics. I've got to say, they really look fantastic. When the game opens, you're sort of flying around a bit, and it tells you like, this is Bethesda Studios, this is Prey, and it is wonderfully embedded within the storyline and the activity there. I just love it. I think it's just wonderful. I remember watching this. What was the first game when I saw that? It was Splinter Cell. It's many years ago when I had the same thing, and it just seemed remarkable. They sort of walk to different areas. In the background, there's like a big placard or a neon lights indicating this is the game and this is the director, and very, very similar to what you have in some of the AAA blockbusters in the cinema. So what else did I play? Well, last but not least is Watch Dogs Legion, of course, and that really has taken up most of my time during this weekend. And you probably watched some of my streams. I got very frustrated on Friday night because the game had a serious glitch. I was not aware of the glitch, and the glitch basically extracted the spider bot and the scientist in a section of New Scotland Yard where I was to be basically snatching that device in order to progress forward. And I kept looking for this spider bot everywhere, and I couldn't find him because obviously, this was a glitch, and that really infuriated me. I spent maybe a couple of hours just completely wasting my time, not knowing this was a glitch, and that was very, very, very annoying, I have to say. It's a new game, and I wish the game would have crashed and therefore would have restarted this, because there was no indication in there that there indeed was a glitch. We had enemies, we had everyone else in there, but the scientists were the spider bot, and they were in the forensic lab. Once you get to the second floor, you should be able to see them straight away. I'm not one of these people who wants to be looking for YouTube videos telling you what to do. I much prefer doing that myself. If it's really, really like a bad big hurdle, then I'll try to find some direction, because I don't want to be spending a year trying to untangle a particular puzzle. But I think the worst game I've played recently with very difficult puzzles was Call of the Sea, and that the puzzles there are just crazy. You've got to ask for some advice. you have no direction within the game to the story narrative on how to resolve the puzzles, and that kills the game. I played some of my favorite games of the 90s, Ripper and Black Dahlia, and these games are completely killed off commercially because of the puzzles. Fantastic story, a lot of action, great characters, wonderful mini puzzles, but the big astrological puzzles were simply impossible to resolve. There was no indication within the game on what to look for. I didn't find anything anywhere. A book, a guide, a comic strip, newspaper, something, nothing. And then later they complained that these games just bombed commercially. Well, obviously, the people didn't want to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on the helpline, because in the 90s there was no proper internet with walkthroughs and everything, and people had to call the company Take-Two to ask what was the next step forward, etc., etc. I've done that. I've completed the game, but it was costing me quite a bit, and that spoils the experience, and you really don't want that. I think the games like Outriders, offering us 30 difficulty levels, i.e. world tier levels, are definitely top-notch, because you can be increasing or decreasing the difficulty level according to what experience you want to be having. So why would you want to be playing the game on an insane difficulty level where you know that this is going to be spoiling your viewing and gaming pleasure? You don't want to do that. Simple as that. Anyway, coming back to War Dogs Legion. The overall experience was very positive, right? So this is a very, very big game that has been released, in my opinion, prematurely. They've given us the game that has a massive big open world of London, of course, and its dark alleys and various vicinities. That does have relatively few activities in there, and I think the story doesn't blend in too well with the open world. You have a lot of activities in specific spaces where you get to your next task. For instance, you have a marker, let's say New Scotland Yard, you get there and there's a lot of activity for you to complete and have some enemies and some challenges. But I think when you're roaming the streets and we're going around there, I've not played it on the insane difficulty level. It may be that if you're playing it on the most difficulty level, everybody will be chasing it. It's possible. I've not gone down this route yet. But it shouldn't be like this, you should be having same sort of experience, but maybe the enemies will not be as difficult to eliminate, rather than having that extracted altogether. And I'm not sure. I can't really say what the game's like if you're playing it on the upper difficulties. But certainly, from my experience, it was very enjoyable, and it did take a bit of time to get in full swing. I think Chapter 1 seemed, to me, very based on roaming, walking, looking at different things, and also exploring the characters, because they introduced the idea where you are going to be able to select anyone who you meet anywhere in London to become a member of your faction. So you obviously have thousands of different people walking the streets, and every one of them, when you click on them, will have their own ID card with special skills and abilities. So you can spend a bit of time looking at these, and then you can be selecting the best crew for you to be using if you want to be overthrowing the tyrants who are presently running London in that sort of futuristic version of it. And that did take me a bit of time. As I progressed to Chapter 2 and 3, began to gel a bit more, became a bit more pacey, and generally the activities were very, very enjoyable. I need to say that this is a game for tech-savvy people. You need to be using drones and spider bots all the time. You need to be hacking into cameras and various other devices which are everywhere. And it is a game that's giving you an aura of what it's like to be living in a highly technologized society where the tech is ruling the world, and you need to have the knowledge which is going to help you through your effort to destroy the tech, destroy the tyrants, and create a system that will be yet again more pleasant, more democratic, and bringing everyone some degree of peace and satisfaction. And that is not going to be everyone's cup of tea, I can tell you, because like with Splinter Cell, it was based on the individual effort, where the character who you played would have to be evading enemies and hiding and finding different ways. And it's a model they used in Metal Gear Solid and Assassin's Creed to perfection. So I think what Watch Dogs is using the same sort of approach, but it has come across as slightly half-baked. And I think the other problem I experienced was the design. one section of the game, most notably the exteriors of London and various other corners of the city, are beautifully done, and they're razor sharp and next-gen graphics. The characters you play are not. They look like they're imported from some other older game, and they're not really customizable. You don't really do much to the faces or bodies or anything. It's just like a set selection of faces and bodies, and that's it. Which, when you compare that with the latest stuff, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, or the new one, Outriders, I don't know, Anthem, the big recent blockbusters, it's just far away from it. And also the third problem, which certainly will be of concern to some people, is that if you're looking at the environment, the buildings and walls, they'll look perfect. Signs, chairs, placards, posters, different types of inclusions which you find in the streets look terrible. They're muggy. They look like they've been planted in there in an incorrect file size, and it just doesn't gel. You have three of them together. I've done some screenshots of those situations, and I had my lead character up front, reasonably sharp and looking better after I used some of the skins that were offered by the game. I had to purchase them in there through in-game currency, so she looked better compared to the original outfit that was quite mundane, quite average. And it wasn't just the color of the outfit, it was more to do with the outfit being razor sharp, whilst the old one wasn't really. So you have her. Behind her is a sign telling you something about some activities in London, and that sign's completely muggy. You can't even read it. And then way behind the sign is the local buildings, and they're absolutely top-notch 4K graphics, and they just technically seem very strange. And then during the weekend, don't get me wrong, I really like the game. I think this is a game with huge potential, and massive big open world, massive city, lots of locations. So if you keep introducing new campaigns, introducing new characters, new activities, new DLC, many things to do, introducing new enemies, it will become as busy and as amazing as The Division 2. But a lot more work needs to be done, I'm afraid, and the concept through which you're selecting anyone out there in order to become a member of your faction didn't really come to prominence at all in 4 days of gameplay, 5 days of gameplay. I've had 3 members of my faction selected by the game, like automatically, and the guys who I wanted to select were left in there, just waiting to get properly recruited. So, maybe there were things that I should have done through side quests. Maybe there are other things I need to explore. But it seemed a bit like an open book. There was a very good initial in-game tutorial. You were being taught how to do everything, and so that was absolutely perfect. And as you carried on, there were lots of unanswered questions. And overall experience of the game, coming from Eurogamer and Games Radar, IGN and all the other video gaming hubs, was, I guess, very much aligned with my way of thinking. They said the story didn't gel with the open world. That's one of the big problems. That's the problem they described also in Cyberpunk. I've not touched the game, I'm not the person to say anything, but I said that was one of the problems, and I think it's likely to be a problem if you are pursuing a story that needs to have a huge amount of content, and also taking place in a massive big city. It's only that much you can do if you are launching it within the campaign format, and the freebie was offered to us as we were expecting now lots of DLCs and new things that will come our way in the next few months. But I think the overall feeling was that the game didn't really strike a chord with community, and I was unpleasantly surprised to see that during this freebie weekend we've had very few streamers and very few viewers on Twitch. So that was actually surprisingly low. I've looked it up on Saturday and Sunday, and the number of viewers was not more than 150. And for a new game that's been around for less than 6 months, it's definitely of concern. And there were other things in there that I quite liked. Some of the skins, some of the touches on the character, and I always really like the games that are preferring stealth to fighting, and this is definitely one of these. So once you get in the swing of things where you learn to use all the gadgets, then it becomes very, very interesting. But it does have the element of repetition. You're coming to certain areas doing exactly the same thing again and again and again and again. My excitement after watching Dev Diaries was all about that faction creation, the selection of the randoms. And when you walk around the city, you can see there's a taxi driver and he's very good in, let's say, boxing. And then you have somebody else who is on the street listening to radio and they're very good in hacking. So you're looking at a selection of special skills. You want to bring them into the faction in order to do something marvelous, something that will produce really great results. On the other hand, maybe I am being overly critical. I think I need to play the game a bit more. I'm just giving you my first impression. I did play quite a bit, and I've gone to chapter 3, and completed lots of these difficult hurdles in the initial sections of the game. There's one thing that I also found to be very stiff, and that was driving. When you compare the game with some other top-notch RPG-stroke driving games, it seemed very, very rusty. Driving through the streets of London, very difficult to reverse. Vehicles were not really smooth with the driving, very difficult to do anything with them. And also what I found really bizarre was I drive to central London and I keep causing all these car crashes and accidents and no one seems to bother. Like there's no police or there's no private security chasing me, or I'm not being spotted for causing mayhem. I destroy all the banisters and everything around Piccadilly Circus and then nothing happens. That seemed a bit strange. So yet again I feel Watch Dogs Legion is an open book. It's a game that has huge potential, and yet again I think it's been released far too early. They should have worked on it a lot more, and it's probably one in the line of many in recent months. We've seen other games coming out and we felt, well, they could have spent another year developing some stuff and doing a bit more and then providing with extra content, and I think Watch Dogs Legion needs to be all about multitude of activities, that diversity, that ever-evolving world. It's something similar to Destiny, but maybe the developer didn't have enough resources, and they'll do things bit by bit in due course. The overall experience was very positive, but I just felt surprised by glitches that definitely are derailing anybody who is a new Game Master streamer and making particular sections completely unplayable. And then secondly, it was all about the story being fairly disjointed from the overall activity. You keep driving. Now, for instance, you are in Camden, and the next minute you need to go to Morden, and then it's quite a distance. You need to drive, and you don't have any other activity on the way. So two choices: you're either going to walk. Well, three choices: you're going to walk, you're going to drive, or you'll use tube. Obviously, you want to be walking and driving to explore the open world. But then, as you're exploring it, not much happens. Sometimes maybe there will be characters popping up and giving you some side quests, but it just seemed, compare it with Fallout or Skyrim, you get people everywhere. They keep giving you all sorts of ideas. So for people who are veterans of the other open world games, they will find it a bit disjointed, but still very enjoyable. And I think the problem maybe for the game is also its price. It's fairly expensive. They're offering it on 60-70% off, and the price on Xbox was £30, and quite frankly, after what I've seen, I was not really happy to part with that revenue. I'd be happy to pay maybe less than £10 for it, but definitely no more than that at the moment, in view of my experience, and therefore maybe a bittersweet experience, but on the other hand, I'm very grateful to Ubisoft offering it, giving it to us for free, and us having an opportunity to get through it all and then experience the game for ourselves, and leaving it open for us to decide whether we want to have it, want to purchase it, and there we are. And everyone who is on any platform should have downloaded it, because this is the biggest AAA blockbuster offered for free in full, for almost 5 days. and what I meant was amongst the newer games. If you look at all the other ones, they've still not been offered free of charge for us to try, and it was really greatly appreciated. So thank you to Ubisoft for offering it to us. And as I said, I just literally hope that they will be introducing a lot more, and therefore we'll have a very, very busy game at a later stage. What else did I play? I played Empire of Sin, and Empire of Sin at the moment is my favorite game. I'm playing Goldie, the gangster, and she is doing extremely well. Empire of Sin is blending the elements of very busy, very story-driven RPG in 1920s prohibition-led Chicago, and then the RTS turn-based strategy game, and so two of these being brought together, working perfectly, and so enjoyable. It's a thinking man's game. You will need to have a plan on how to grow your empire. You need to think about the other clans or the other gangsters, what you need to do in order not to be kind of treading on the toes and interfering with their turf, causing gang warfare and therefore losing some of your assets. You will need to build your distilleries and your criminal enterprises in order to be ruling your turf, and then you have to be dealing with all kinds of cons, gangsters, criminals and unsavory types as you go along. But for me, this is a true discovery because I've not played strategy games for quite some time, and the new type of strategy game that caught my eye with XCOM 2 is definitely fully blown in Empire of Sin. And if I understand it correctly, we also have the same in Wasteland 3 and in Gears Tactics. So a new subgenre for me to explore, a new lot of games for me to jump in and to have these wonderful experiences. And I have to say, it's like really enjoyable. I really kind of loved it. And maybe because I played recently so many of the PvPs on offer, and I never get tired of it, but it's always good to take another direction in order to get some respite, and that's exactly what's happened. So Empire of Sin's been really my main game of the last couple of weeks, and absolutely grateful to Xbox Game Pass for including it, because otherwise I wouldn't have bought it, and therefore opening up the horizon of new ideas. Wasteland 3 is on Game Pass, as well as Gears Tactics, and in fact XCOM 2 I bought recently for about £6 or £7 through a massive 70 or 80% discount sale, which indeed was on offer a few weeks ago. So I have it on PlayStation and on Xbox, and I will be playing it, of course. I did try it, and I did play it quite a bit when it was offered on freebies, I think about 2 or 3 times, and just loved it. I think it was really a wonderful game. But Empire of Sin is a step up. So I liked XCOM 2, but I think Empire of Sin was really taking it further in terms of all else that the game is offering. So you will see as you enter the arena. Okay, so this was my weekend. These were the news, these were all my works, everything I've done. The weekend's gone by really quickly. It's been really enjoyable. I spent quite a bit of time outside early in the day, so I've seen plenty of sunshine and daylight, which makes me very happy, because when I look at my skin and my hands, I've really kind of aged 20 years in less than 12 months because of that vitamin D absence, and I need to be really having plenty of it every single day. So that's the plan. I'll have to go out early in the day, go to our nature reserve and make sure I meet nobody, but indeed see plenty of sunshine. Sadly, it looks like the Easter is going to be full of rain, and I'm not really overly excited about that. I had enough of rain really during the last few months, and hope to be enjoying some very, very warm weather like today. It's like really very, very warm day, breaking all records so far. And right, so let me think. We have some community questions today. Talked a lot about the news coming in from the industry on Saturday and Sunday, and therefore I'll give some of that a miss. We'll obviously carry on with this on another day, because the weekend was packed out with the news coming from ID at Xbox, all the independent games that are being promoted, and so many, more than 100. We looked at all the different titles, talked about them here live on air, and I recommended several. That included Stalker 2, one of my favorites, and definitely very excited. I mean, Stalker 2, and I tried it. 2 of the games I'm most excited about really for this period, and obviously I tried to scan my way already on the first, and then Stalker later in the year. It looks really beautiful. You need to check out the presentation ID at Xbox. Loads of great things said, plenty of commentaries coming from developers and game directors and presenters as well, and also you have many trailers, and it's extraordinary how polished some of the games look. I mean, you will not believe that they were being given to us by the indie publishers. It's just extraordinary how everything changed. Right, so we've come to our community corner, and yet again I had a number of great questions. We'll be focusing on one which is very central to all we talked about during the last week, and we have a message from Rob. Rob is in Manchester, and Rob has been a regular. You will recall that Rob did watch Warzone and Destiny in particular. We've had some interactions. Rob also played Apex, and if I'm not mistaken, we did play a couple of matches together a little while back as I was promoting Apex more than 2 years ago. Rob said, "Thank you so much for your wonderful tips and directions in your podcasts. As far as the Twitch the Twitch streams are concerned, thank you for all of your descriptions and for the pointers which we received. It's great to see that somebody like yourself, who has some experience of broadcasting elsewhere, was able to experiment, build a community in no time, and then consequently provide all of us wannabe streamers with so many different tips. They're really appreciated. We'll definitely follow your advice, and we'll try to build our channels accordingly." And then he says, "What really did interest me was the way he described the process of community building." And he says, "I have several clans attached to various games, so I'm wondering how you experience the creation of squads, clans, or units, i.e. regiments, compared to the build-up of your own community on Twitch. Is there similarity or difference? Do they work together or are they separate? What is the best way to go about this?" Well, Rob, similar to our friend Josephine yesterday, you're asking a 10-tier question, which is really great, and thank you first of all for watching the podcast and supporting all we do here. And I'm delighted to see that wannabe streamers and people who are viewers and active gamers are being inspired by all I said, and therefore setting up their own channels. That's just exactly what we want to see. We want to see as many people as possible to do the same. As an entrepreneur, and I've had very many projects during the last 35 years, so this is not like a short period of time, I can tell you there never ever has been a better time to set up something as dynamic, as interesting, as connecting as it is today if you're working on Twitch or YouTube. It's relatively cheap. You will obviously have to have your equipment and you will need to be connected to the internet, but then that's about it. It's all then done to you. All the other projects in the past that they had to be having something else. On-site offices, meeting customers, meeting clients, providing services, being up and about, meeting people face to face, etc., etc. The list just goes on and on. This online venture is something else. It is, first of all, highly connectable and highly interactive, and you can build it from nothing in no time. It will be all down to your own abilities and skills, and also down to the way you are going to be building your community. So going back to what you asked me originally, as a gamer, I've had always groups of friends who were attached to my online gaming activity. I had not been building clans or units or regiments in the past because I didn't have time. And if you build a clan, then you need to be the leader of the clan, which means you will be dedicated to everyday activity, and that will include not just your online gaming, but also some admin, some online events, some chit chats, maybe some sessions through live streams on YouTube, or maybe Discord if you're getting people together for their kind of community evenings, etc., etc. So I've not done any of that prior to my Twitch channel, and I had no experience of doing that separately from what I do live online. Okay, But from my personal experience of how the communities, online communities, are built. So let me just clarify. I've not been building clans or regiments which were attached to particular games, but I did have very many online communities. Okay, so that's something separate. Online communities dedicated to film, dedicated to music, dedicated to live events, dedicated to film history. These are communities that are very, very vibrant, active, with lots of members and participants. Some are maybe a bit more niche than others. And the idea behind it was to provide a forum in which, like a user group, people can connect and therefore exchange their views and ideas and make new friendships, and indeed sometimes meet up. Let's say people who enjoy live events in London. You have a selection of live venues, you follow whatever the events are there, and then you connect people who are involved, and that means promoters, musicians, media photographers, managers, people who do stage management, the crew, etc., etc. So they all can be blending in together. It was great. On Facebook we had lots of people connecting. Also on Twitter I was able to hook up with many people in the know, people who are in broadcasting, people who work on television, radio, and elsewhere. And it was fantastic because we all kind of got together, like promoting a band, promoting a scene, promoting a group of people, was then all blending in. These were the early days of Twitter. It'd be very difficult to do that today because people have become a bit more cagey and fully aware of kind of pluses and minuses of that sort of interaction. But initially in the early days it was very, very grassroots and very spontaneous, and not many people were using some of the platforms, and therefore it was very easy to make friendships and connections. So exactly the same system I applied here on my channel, okay? And the idea was to have one central area of interest, and that one central area of interest was the game, most notably here on my channel, Destiny. So everyone who loves Destiny will come in and watch it, and then people will talk, and as they talk they'll make bonds. As they make bonds they will try to unite and then come in sometimes and play as a 3-piece or 6-piece, depending whether we do strikes or raids. That was the premise, and that's how everything began. Creating a clan within Destiny is a separate thing. A clan could have a number of people who perhaps are not suitable for live online participation. They may be fantastic gamers, they may be competitive, they may be ideal for a raid or strike, but they will not be ideal for live online communication due to many different factors. Usually it's their personalities, people who are doing speedruns, people who are quite aggressive, people who swear quite a lot, people who are not respecting the rules, people who do not want to be doing it by the book, people who forget that if you've done a strike 50 times that you should not be speedrunning because you're preventing the viewers from watching the action. These are the factors. So building a clan, so let's say if you were streaming Call of Duty Cold War and or Modern Warfare, you will have your clan, right? And you can build it separately outside of your broadcast, and it's the best if it's being kept separate, right? It can be like, for instance, what I've done with Warzone. I've been using my channel in order to bring in new members, both to my community and to the regiment. The regiment, in fact, was a brainchild of James Carter, who is a member of my community. This was not something that I envisaged or suggested. The reason for that's simple. I wanted everything to be connected to my community on Twitch, right? Because having a regiment will attract different types of people who otherwise would be just watching your channel. My channel is a variety channel where I offer, as you know, a variety of different games, lots of different bits and pieces of information, plenty of community content, lots of news. Isn't just about Warzone or Destiny. Do you see what I mean? People who go to your clan or to your regiment, they're based on that game. They are there because they really want to be doing everything connected to that specific game. So that's what the difference is. If you're running a channel that's dedicated to one single game, it's a different story. But don't forget, people who are in the regiment or in the clan, as I said, may not be ideal to be participating live online, basically using their comms, talking and connecting with others, for the reasons which are already specified. So it's two separate things. If you are running only one game on your channel, it'll be easier to bridge the gap, because the vast majority of the people coming to your channel will be there just because they want to watch Apex or Destiny or Warzone, and therefore many of them can be easily siphoned off to the clan or the regiment. I see Gen as two separate entities. Online communities like the ones on Twitch, they will be there in order to connect people from everywhere, and the clan is there in order to attract people who are just interested in that particular game. So there's a strong distinction, and don't forget that even if you're streaming just Apex or Destiny, you will be getting lots of newcomers, lots of viewers and other people popping in who will be interested in talking about other things, not just that particular game. So it's open to any kind of discussion. And I think if we're looking at the time span, a community or a clan could be built very, very quickly if you are streaming a game that is very, very popular and that is attracting a lot of participants, and particularly if you as a broadcaster, a person who is the owner of your project, is very attentive and interactive, then people like that. And generally people like anyone who is not particularly bossy, intrusive, or unpleasant. They'll find the content to be similar to what they see on the TV, and they'll feel comfortable, they feel attached, and they want a very friendly, kind of all-inclusive type of environment, and that is always the most popular. And therefore you can grow it. The difficulty if you're streaming the most popular games is that it will take you a long while to build a viewership. There are different ways to which you can do that. Lots of people will pay other companies to do restreams for them and then bring in some of the viewers, but that will cost you $1. If you're doing it like myself, grassroots level, use algorithms to restream, it's a very, very lengthy run. It's a marathon rather than a race, and you'll be dedicated to this particular game over a long period of time, and you'll basically collect people as you go along. Building a clan could also be done through a variety of forums online. You first of all need to subscribe to user groups, and you need to go to Twitter and most importantly Reddit. You can join various communities on PlayStation and Xbox, or various PC-based communities where you are specifically contributing in respect of that favorite game, and you are attracting interest through your comments and views, which will take time and to write, and you are then bringing in your opinions, your ideas, your clips, your adventures, your experiences to that specific community, and that is where people will begin to recognize you. All of that will have one particularly important aspect very prominently displayed, and that's your regularity. Right? Regularity of contribution is essential. It's not about the length, it's not about the in-depth essay-like analysis, it's all about regularity. You have got to have everyday contribution. So when you choose one forum, choose wisely and contribute every single day. For myself, my everyday contributions are exclusively on Twitter. Twitter is highly interactive and very, very easy to find other people and other participants. I use Reddit, I use Instagram, I use Facebook. I do not dedicate my time to these on everyday basis, because you need to see what will be the most beneficial for you, what is most interactive, and certainly Twitter has worked the best for me. Reddit is more specific. It gives you a bit of a kind of a niche group of participants, and you'll find that on Reddit you get more of hardcore veterans, people who are attached to development studios, people who are into the gaming full speed, and you can find some really, really great friends and truly wonderful community members to Reddit. So if you align your channel with, let's say, your place on Reddit, and you connect the two, this will be bringing you quite a number of dedicated gamers, and you will be able to build a sizable community in no time. It's all about connecting with other hubs. If you have a regular broadcast every single day, and if it is a specific broadcast. I think for anyone who's starting out, I would always recommend to be streaming just one game for good 18 to 36 months. So that's 1 to 2 years every single day. So that means 52 weeks, 365 days. And you don't have to be streaming for 5 or 6 hours. You can do like 2 or 3 hour streams to start with, but you need to be regular and you need to have exactly the clearly labeled schedule. So, you know, the schedule will be, let's say, 6 to 9, 6 to 10 every single day. And then people who pop in, have a look, will know exactly that you're there at that time. This will help the we have Deployman in there. Hello Deployman, how are you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for popping in and saying hello. Always great to see you, Deployman. It's been a while. Deployman is our Destiny veteran. Obviously looking forward to see Destiny back on the channel yet again. We had so much Destiny here on the channel, believe you me. Destiny 1 and 2. And our community members are obviously very eager to get everything back on. So thank you, Deployman, for saying hello. Thank you for watching our podcast today. Where was I? Yeah, so basically you need to connect your online platforms, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Reddit, Instagram, all of them to your regular streams. And the content that you'll provide will need to be quite diverse. Never ever use automated postings. They're extremely unpopular. Nobody will follow you if you do them. And make sure that maybe you choose Instagram for screenshots, Facebook for lengthy descriptions of certain games, like an encyclopedia, Reddit for educated, in-depth views and analysis on certain games and maybe other people's performances, activities, and overall gaming. So lengthier responses, but really kind of in the know and connected to specific gamers and dedicated threads, meaning attached to the developer. Fallout attached to Bethesda, Halo attached to 343, Gears of War attached to Coalition, Microsoft. So you talk to the guys who are connected with that community, people who are running the game and the project, and then you will be getting responses from them. And that's how you build the overall experience, and your presence will need to have something which is instantly noticeable. So your user ID and your avatar need to be exactly the same everywhere. Okay, so if you go to Google, if you put on Google hashtag DRBMiller, you will get everything related to whatever I do here online with video gaming, and it's all identifiable with a coat of arms, which is my family coat of arms, and then DRBMiller, and but just by looking at it, you will know, that's the brand. That we know this is this person. So wherever you go, you'll know exactly it's mine. That's fundamental, because people will talk about the streamer, be it for the good or for the bad things, and others will associate the words with that avatar, and that's how they will find you. That's just one of those ways, and certainly it helps me. Just coming back to the core point, our friend was asking about the difference between the clan and the online community, and just to summarize, to briefly indicate, these are two separate things. A clan or a regiment is dedicated to one particular game. The membership could be very extensive. You can have lots of different people in there, but you will find that most of them will not be interested in other games, which means they may not be interested in communicating live online with other gamers who are into Oblivion or Skyrim or No Man's Land or Outriders, Destiny, you name it, Apex. They'll just stick to their own game, the game they really like doing and playing, and therefore it will remain a bit secluded. It doesn't necessarily mean that you wouldn't be able to bring in other people. Yeah, it's an indie game, No Man's Land. Deployment's still there, and great to see you. I mean, I need to stress this. I apologize for responding to you a bit late, but as I'm obviously going through the motion of responding to my community members, I very easily can lose the thread, and then if I respond to everyone else who's coming in with messages as I'm talking, I get slightly frazzled, so I do apologize for that. And Deployment says all good. No worries, no worries. Right, so basically you will have within your regiment or your clan people who want to be participating live online, and you have those who will not be wanting to be there. Secondly, that community also will be a bit divided. You have people who like other games and play Call of Duty and Divisions and Destinies of this world. Others will just stick to their own game. And the online community attached to your Twitch channel is a diverse group of people. So it will comprise communities that will be attached to lots of different games, and they all will be communicating and talking because they have passion for video gaming. Like Deployment, for instance, will be coming here to my streams on a regular basis because he loves Destiny, but also Deployment loves other games and plays them on different platforms, has a lengthy experience of video gaming, and will always connect with a variety of different subjects. So I just want to make a distinction between those two types of community members, because this is what our friend Rob was referring to in his question. Is there a difference between a clan and the online community, and are they going to be compatible? Will they work together as one? The answer is no, they will not. They may do in some instances if you have just Destiny-based community or one game community, but still think that you will have to select amongst the clan members who will be suitable for your live online presentations, because it's just one of those things. And you will get also people who come in and say, I don't want to be recorded, I don't want to be heard live online. Well, that's a problem, because your community is all about interaction and connections, so people need to be talking live online. And if, for instance, somebody is resisting, they need to really voice their concerns first of all, rather than doing something live online and then later wanting for the streams to be deleted, which obviously isn't going to happen. Our friend says, Deployman saying, did you mean No Man's Sky? Yeah, No Man's Sky is another game. There's No Man's Sky is presently also available on Xbox Game Pass, and in fact, incidentally, I did download it and I did play it a bit. It's a very, very difficult game, and it does take a bit of time to realize, to learn how to play it, because it's a bit like a survival horror game, isn't it? Initially, when you need to be discovering what to do on a planet. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I found it to be a very, very good game, and just simply because at the moment I have several big open world, lengthy, ever-evolving game that I'm tackling, I have no time for it. But I'll definitely get my teeth in. Liked it a lot, and certainly my understanding of the descriptions is the game had been massively improved compared to its very beginnings, where things didn't really work out. And as it stands today, it's massive. And another game that's been greatly enhanced is the Outer Worlds. I've just gone in the other day, and incredible, really, the way they changed it. It's just, I played it during the first couple of months. The big presentation I had was at Infogamer. It was a massive big European Gamescom, and I played it on a massive big screen. It was incredible. But the way the game opens today is significantly different. They just reworked the whole game at the beginning. And Deployman says, I'm really good, and I'm just chilling. If you do play No Man's Sky, I can play with you as it's crossplay. Well, that would be wonderful, and I will put you down in my notebook straight away, because I absolutely do need one person to play together with me, because quite frankly, No Man's Sky is very similar to Destiny. It does require another member who will be helping, the novice, and that would be greatly appreciated, because I find it a bit tricky. I basically went to one of the planets, and then suddenly I had to be exploring some minerals and didn't know which ones to choose. There was huge radiation levels, and had to go to the other part, and then the radiation was killing me, and it was a bit confusing. But with some guidance, obviously, I would have succeeded much better. And Deployment says, I play a variety of games. One game communities aren't the best for growth. If that is what you were going for, you already know this. I can teach you. Yeah, actually, Deployman, that is exactly what I was describing. I'm not sure whether you've heard me earlier. Our friend Rob from Manchester, he was asking about the way we build clans and regiments. Basically the group of gamers attached to a particular game, and then compare that. He wanted us to compare that with our online communities, and I was just describing the difference, because the difference is very considerable. And just like you said, if you're running a Twitch channel, doing it just with one game is initially very rewarding, but it is providing you with lots of constraints, and generally you will get people coming in who are avid gamers, watching all sorts of games and following the news in the video gaming community, and they'll be asking questions in response to, let's say, No Man's Sky, or The Division, or Elder Scrolls, Gears 5, and they'll be expecting the broadcaster to be fully engaged, to be knowledgeable. And it's fun, isn't it? 5 years ago it would have been okay just to be doing one game, but today it's a different story. And I think it's thanks to Microsoft, as they are indeed pushing for as many titles as possible on Game Pass. We are really reaching a completely new, different stage of development in video gaming. It's instant access, it's downloadable, it's accessible through any platform, anywhere. Once we get xCloud fully up and running, be able to pull out our tablet in Sahara Desert and play No Man's Sky. It's absolutely extraordinary. And also it will make the games accessible to people who are presently not able to get to them. The remote areas of our planets, and the areas that do not have full connectivity to Microsoft or PlayStation services, and that will be easy. You'll subscribe to a new forum which is going to be working on your Android or your tablet, and you'll be able to do it. It's just it's terrific. It's just wonderful. It opens up a lot of new opportunities and possibilities, and I'm very, very excited to see how everything will be going forward. And right, so thanks to Rob for asking the question. I hope I answered correctly, and I hope I provided you with some interesting tips and ideas. Just the very last note on this is, if you're asking Rob on how to really bridge the gap, well, I would say the best way is if you start the channel with a brand new title. You may decide to bring in your own community, which you already did have outside of Twitch or YouTube, your clan or your regiment, whatever you call it, your crew. But the trouble there is you already have kind of dynamics which are fully set up, and they are really as they are. If you import them into the live forum, you will be getting responses from other people who are watching, and some people who are in your regiment may or may not like the responses, and it's probably best avoided to have any sort of in-clan conflicts on I said this, he said that, I'm better than you, and that sort of thing. If you start building a community from scratch, you choose a game that is maybe brand new. Let's say Outriders, right, coming out on 1st of April. And then you build firstly your community online, and through the random matchmaking and random gameplay, you select people who are going to be participating live online, basically on your channel. And also then you can select a few to become members of your clan. So that's really quite generic, quite easy, and giving you the very best opportunity to stroll without any hassle. Because really, quite frankly, if you're doing the the original build-up, you do not want to be spending a lot of time worrying if something will go wrong, and the process of building a community needs to be leisurely, entertaining, and most importantly, it needs to be very rewarding for yourself and everyone else. So that's the idea. That is what I would recommend. Right, my friends, I think we've come to the end of our time for the podcast. We have other questions that were indeed raised, and I was not able to talk about them today because there was quite a lot to get through, and we'll carry on as usual tomorrow. So thank you for watching and listening. Thank you to Deployman for being here with us today, and indeed supporting both the channel and all we do here. It's been a pleasure as always, and thank you also for offering to help with No Man's Sky, because No Man's Sky is a wonderful, wonderful game that I really want to be exploring further, and I'll try to squeeze it in for my stream in the future as well. So I'll ping you a message, and we'll do certain things together, because I'm needing some guidance, similar to what I had in Destiny. The only thing is, Destiny was a lot more popular than No Man's Sky, and I think it will be difficult for me to be just streaming it and then waiting for somebody to come in. And I think you mentioned a little while back, and together with our friend Paperclip, that No Man's Sky really had been significantly altered in recent years, and with lots of DLCs and expansions and various other works applied, and therefore it is a very, very interesting, very immersive type of sci-fi adventure, and I definitely want to get in because I love sci-fi games, and you know, it's just my kind of niche. And also I look forward to Outriders. It will be another big AAA blockbuster here on my channel, and I think Outriders will be almost certainly of great interest to Destiny veterans, and Destiny will feel a lot of pressure if many people migrate to Outriders as the new big kind of a space opera, and considering that quite a few Destiny veterans are a bit disgruntled of late with seasonal content. So we'll basically wait and see. So once again, I want to thank Deployman for watching, listening, and for supporting our channel. I want to thank all of our listeners and viewers. Thank you to Rob for sending us that wonderful question, which obviously open up different ideas, and hopefully I provided you with some tips and tricks on what you can do if you want to connect your clans with the overall activity on your Twitch or YouTube channels. So that's the end really for today. So thank you for watching, thank you for supporting our channel, and we'll see you all tomorrow, and take care.